Deborah, great to see you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You know, it's interesting, right? Because I feel like it depends on the project, but with the Alto Knights, that script to screen journey is really interesting to me, right? Because you finally at some point get this script, you see this big world, and then you start going to the production and you see it come to life. What was the script to screen journey like for you on the Alto Knights specifically?
It was pretty enormous, because the story itself was something I didn't know ahead of time, and this script covers several decades of history, so that was different than other mafia films. Um, but because it was, the Olympic gold winners of creative, the creative team of Bob and Barry Levinson and Nick Pileggi and Irwin Winkler, they are creative legends and one of the greatest DPs alive. So to actually see what they did with it once it was all put together, it became something so much bigger and richer and funnier. It really just was a great lesson as to how far something can come from the page until it hits the screen.
Absolutely. And you are so fantastic in this film. One of my favorite lines of a movie is when you like Frank's in the like was brought up, his name was brought up in court, so he's in the paper and you say basically, you know, she's a moron, he's a maniac, and you're on the cover of the news. I love that line so
That
much.
was that was actually an improvised line. I actually made that up in the
That's
moment.
amazing. So good. I
Thank
loved it. It
you.
was one that stood out. It's a big, like you said, it's a massive movie, right? So the fact that that's testament, that's credit to you. Like that stuck out to me when I
Well,
watched this.
it's actually a credit to Barry Levinson because he really loves actors to improvise, and that's giving up some power. So most directors don't say, play, go off the script,
Yeah.
and so to be able to improvise with Bob, it was very freeing and it made it more fun, and so moments like that were able to be born.
Absolutely. I know the answer to this is you probably try not to. And as an actor, you're in the moment focusing on the character and the story. But given that we like this is one of those perfect kind of, you know, popcorn worthy mob movies where the audience is dialed in and we want to know what's going on. And it's such a unique way of the story being told over the decades and the narration. Are you ever conscious of the audience member watching the Alto Nights while you're making it? Or is that something that you kind of think about a little bit more once you wrap?
Oh, no, I don't think at all about what the audience is going to see. Mainly because I have no control over it. I just did a play, and in the theater, I have full control over what the audience sees. And but film is a director's medium. You give them, all the material, and then they cut it together and tell the story. So it's really out of my hands. So I'm just fixated more, especially in this case, because they were real people and we did a lot of research and a lot of preparation. It was really about just doing justice to Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm wondering because I feel like depending on the project, there's different kind of areas where you find out a lot of the information. Like when you were starting to go to production, like how far in advance did you know that Robert was playing two characters? Like was that a given once you were discussed about the project? Like, I'm curious about that.
No, yes, from the very beginning. When I got the script, they said Bob will be playing both roles, and I had to read it like 3 times, and then I thought, well, of course. Of course, that is a monumental challenge. It's, you think about Bob and the Mafia films that he's made, they're epic. Why would he do another one? And here, this is the answer. He gets to create two completely distinct characters, and it's fun. To see the audience's response to his work in that way, to be like, it worked. It worked. They were talking to each other and they totally it totally worked.
It's so crazy, especially like especially the scenes when they're like having like they're sitting at a bar, like the coffee shop scenes, like the back and forth. It's like, oh
Yeah,
my goodness,
yeah.
it's
Magic of
great.
movie making.
And so much happens before you officially go to camera on something like this, right? And I love how you kind of started this conversation about the enormous scale of this film because it is massive, everyone involved, and just kind of the cinematography. So there's a lot of kind of things that happen before you go to camera. So from an acting storytelling perspective, Deborah, you can see there's two journeys, right? Before filming the Alto Knights and after filming the Alto Knights. So does it feel like one big journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about that.
It feels like separate journeys in some way. The prep was several months, and it was doing deep dives into, many, 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 many books, and, talking to people who knew her, and working with a dialect coach, and, working with a vocal coach to try and age her. So there was, it had nothing to do with the actual language. It was about just getting myself ready to step into a world. And then you get on set, and then that's a completely different thing. And then it's been 2 years because of the 2 strikes since we filmed it. So it feels like a lifetime ago being on the set. And we're just sort of like, it's like a happy reunion. And it's like, oh, that's what we did.
Yeah, no, for sure. And last question before we wrap up, and it's a good time to what you just said. It's interesting, right? Because you say it's two separate journeys, but like there's a lot of conversations that happen right before you film and after you film. What are those? Are the conversations with Barry and the conversations with Robert, are they similar? Are they different? Does it depend on the day? Like, what are the conversations like while you're actually in production for something like this? Are there maybe not as many conversations that we think? Like, that's interesting to me.
Well, it depends on the people you're working with. In my experience in the past, there's been a lot of conversation. But Barry, I reached out to him. I was like, can you give me some guidance? What's important to you about this portrayal of Bobby? And he was like, there's no perfect way to be Bobby, and I want you to teach me who Bobby is. Yeah. So there was no conversation. It was just all on me. And, Bob just came in and we improved outside of the words on the page. And so really I feel like the talking, the prepping was actually happening in the course of actually shooting it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't wait for people to see the film. The Alto Knights is going to be in theaters March 21st. It's a great film. Deborah, so great chatting with you. It was an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.